This episode is brought to you by... I don't know.
This is HOTDROP, where we bring you premier gaming analysis and once more, weekly drops. I'm Dano.
I'm Cody.
And I'm John, and let's get into it. We are HOTDROP, just three dudes having a good time. You might know us from the very feed you are listening to, where we talked about PUBG and other games for the last few years. If you're new to the show, we also have other podcasts, Dive, featuring variety banter and research informational learnings, and the Tarkov Escape Pod, where Dan low-key flexes his essay writing skills.
We also have a Discord where you can hang out with mature, like-minded gamers, or just be notified that we're going live on Twitch every Monday and Thursday at 8 p.m., but probably more like 8:20, because Dan's either making pasta or a drink at twitch.tv/the_hotdrop.
And we also have one of the hottest things that no other podcasts out there are doing these days. It's the hotline, 508-216-0006. It's a Google Voice number. It's an answering machine, and it's a way to have your voice on the show. This episode is all about the rootin' and the shootin'. Let's talk guns, boys.
Let's.
Weapons. Why are they the way they are?
What a deep question.
The time frame?
Gives
time
them
period?
the right.
Oh.
It's the time frame, yeah. Let's talk about that, because that's the first thing you notice when you drop into a game is, what is this gun I'm holding? Like, what the hell? I've never even seen anything like this.
In a world where it became it was foreign to me to identify any weapon, to playing PUBG and now being able to recognize a plethora of weapons, hopping into this game, I went, oh, wait a second. What are these? I don't know any of these. Because like all revolvers were just a revolver to me, but now you can look at them and distinguish between what kind of weapon you're looking at from a, single shot revolver, a breech loading rifle, things like that I now know the distinctions of.
Aha. Yeah, there's a lot of differences between the ones that you see in this game and the ones you've got in modern shooters, or even World War II shooters, or even World War I shooters. There's all of these different guns, and they all are pretty similar to modern day weapons. Like, you kind of understand how they work as you start to use them, but when you look at them, you're like, what even is this? Like, some of the pistols, like the Dolch, just look really strange. How they're magazine fed, it's really strange. The pistols more or less look similar, but they do have some unique traits, like the pistol with the underbarrel shotgun. That's kind of cool. That's a little new spin on an old classic, or an old spin on a new classic, maybe. I don't know how you think about
I see
that.
what you did there.
Yeah. But regardless of what they look like, it all comes down to ammo in this game. Like, sort of similar to other games, but with a little more complexity. You've got compact, medium, long, shotgun, and special ammo. So 5 different ammo types, all going into various different guns. And what makes them different is mostly just the speed at which the bullet travels, the bullet velocity, the amount of damage that drops off over distance, and the penetration amount. And so it kind of all boils down to that.
There is no drop off. There is just a stop. With the exception of crossbows, there is no damage drop off, right?
There is actually damage drop off. So if you check out this article I found that was posted 2018, there is drop off over distance. So if you scroll down, you'll see compact, medium, long, shotgun, and they just have nitro, because I guess that was the only kind of special ammo that was in there at the time of the game.
I think the others, yeah, that makes sense.
But there is drop off over distance. There's a multiplier that as you get further away from your target, your damage does less and less.
Interesting. I always thought that it was just the effective range that was the player, that there was no drop off. It just didn't do anything after you hit that 92 meters.
Because it seems like when you do hit someone at distance, I've never noticed that, that should have killed them. Maybe once or twice. But like most what do you call them? Not battles. I guess battles. Most engagements happen within 100 meters, so you're not really seeing the effects of damage drop off. That's just my theory. I don't know what John thinks.
Yeah, unless it's a revolver for some reason, I feel like that's always getting me right between the eyes from nowhere.
Yeah, I mean, we said this before, but headshots are crazy effective in this game, and clearly it matters how far you are in order to maximize that damage, but headshot damage is really, really strong. So even if you're using the weakest gun from like a decent distance, if you get a headshot, it still does a huge amount of damage.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think the other interesting thing to point out is, while this might be intuitive for some people, compact does not mean pistol, medium does not mean like medium range rifle, and long doesn't mean extra long rifle. They're in different weapons. So there's a pistol called the Caldwell conversion uppercut, which uses long ammo. There are ones that use medium ammo. There are the Winfield rifle uses compact ammo. So it like, in each category of weapon, there are guns that use different ammo types. So it's not just pistols are compact. It's not that straightforward.
Yeah. Yeah, and compact ammo doesn't immediately mean that the weapon is trash. So
yeah, no, it actually a lot of times just means you have a faster rate of fire.
Yeah, it means less penetration. It means more damage drop off over distance, but it doesn't mean it does less. Well, it typically does less damage, but it doesn't mean it does so few points of damage that it's not worth taking a compact type of weapon into the match.
Right.
So just to give you an example, the Winfield does 110 damage per hit, and so each person has 150 hit points at full health. The Winfield is a 2-hit, so it does 110 damage. And then if you go to a pistol, something like the Nagant, I don't know how to pronounce that the right way, Nagant 1985 pistol, that does 91. So it's still pretty high up there. It's still quite a bit of damage for a pistol, and it's still a one-hit headshot.
And to compare it to like a medium, the Springfield does, what is it, like 130, something like that. Yeah, 132, and it's a medium shot. So it's, if you compare that to the Winfield rifle, it's not that much more damage. It's more about the, penetration and muzzle velocity, those types of things.
Yeah, and also the handling, like how the weapon works, how it operates, how much sway you have, how quickly it reloads, things like that. So all of those traits are sort of boiled down into one handling. What would you call that? Characteristic value.
Yeah.
So handling itself, which I thought this was interesting, is the effectiveness of the weapon taking into account sway, recoil, and spread. So for melee weapons, it takes into account stamina consumption, reach, and angle of the swing arc. The higher the percentage, the better the weapon handling. So it's kind of interesting. I don't typically look at handling as a value that I weigh when I'm trying to choose a weapon. I mostly look at damage and rate of fire, because that's big, especially if I think I'm taking in a double action revolver and it turns out to be single action. But yeah, what do you guys think of the ammunition setup in this game? Like, I think it makes it a little clearer. It's also complex enough, but not too complex.
It's also, you can hover over the ammo when you're in the menu, and it gives you these, like, the different factors. It's like, will penetrate thin wood walls, won't go through metal, that type of thing, which I think is really helpful, so that you don't have to memorize all this stuff. You can just be like, oh, this is compact. I know it doesn't have great penetration. Let me see what it will do, and just hover over it, and it'll let you know. I like the separation of the ammo just because it's kind of how it works in the real world too. Like, pistols don't all use the same ammo. You can have larger caliber pistols that, are more impactful than other pistols or that kind of thing. And it also color codes ammo that you see in the world in the little boxes rather than in the larger ammo boxes. So it lets you kind of know what your weapon uses and just pick out those ammo boxes really easily.
I like the ease of use there. It's refreshing coming from a game like Tarkov, where it's just unreal amounts of different ammo types.
Yeah,
just absolutely mind melting. So it's easy for a player to just run around, know that they need red ammo. They might not even know it's called compact, but it's red. That's what I need. Easy.
That's how I learned the PUBG ammo types.
Yeah, I remember that actually.
Color. Yeah, it's color.
Yep.
I remember John's brother getting mad at me because I didn't know. And that's when I decided I would annoy Crander at every turn.
Yeah, good call.
I think another example of the devs making things a little more easy and accessible to new players is the fact that there isn't bullet drop, except for bomb lance, crossbow, and I think that's all. And they talk about in this article, if you just Google Hunt Showdown weapons, you'll find this article that was posted by the devs. They say the two reasons for not including bullet drop are that short combat distances are what you'll typically see, and also there are no modern scopes in this game. They have found that the typical combat situation is about 50 to 75 meters. This is because of the environment and just the main goal of the game of breaching into a boss's lair and, trying to fight out of a boss's lair. There's a lot of very short engagements, and so you don't need to consider bullet drop in those scenarios. And then also because of the age of iron sights in this game, you won't aim through a scope, you won't aim through a red dot, you won't typically use medium range optics, and they don't want you to have to aim above the target and force you to effectively have to guess where the shot landed. That is not something they want players to have to do, and they want to feel like the players are in control of the situation, and if they miss a shot, it's due to their mistake and not a random element. That was refreshing to hear. I liked how they worded that. What do you guys think about that?
I think it's pretty great. I actually, coming from somebody who sucks at this game anyway and sucks at shooting, it doesn't give me a reason to have to adjust to anything else. And I know that it's just me playing the game. Like, I am not aiming where I need to aim. Therefore, it is my problem. And I don't have to rage at something and pretend that it's not my fault.
Yeah.
It puts it in your control a little more, I feel. Especially how there's so many weapons that do so much damage that you want those shots to hit, and you don't want to be guessing with the game or whether or not you got a hit. It's very clear when you get a hit on someone because of the hit marker. I've never had that be wrong. And also the yell of your opponent taking the hit. It's just nice that they make it a little more accessible. I think we are kind of used to playing some more hardcore games, and it's kind of refreshing to have a more casual mechanic in a hardcore game.
It's not, I was going to say it's not too casual, though, because it's pretty high stakes when we're in there. I get that PUBG rush quite often, and I don't think that it's not even necessarily easier in terms of getting a kill once you're in an engagement. I think it's just as hard because you're still adjusting to different parameters than you would in PUBG. Granted, PUBG, the mechanics of shooting different weapons is off the charts difficult between weapons, right? But this, while it doesn't have, any automatic weapons, I still find that, if I switch my loadout, I'm always adjusting to how that gun shoots compared to a different gun.
In Hunt, you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's still the same adjustment. It's just under different parameters.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, John, what do you think about the bullet drop or just the casualness versus hardcore? How would you classify this as a hardcore game?
No, I think it's difficult. So I think the biggest barrier for this game is that we haven't played solo, but I feel like going into this game solo would be pretty overwhelming. So I think having people to play with is common, but people might not have the same time frame. We are literally on a schedule. Everyone who knows us pretty much knows that we play video games on Mondays and Thursdays.
At 8 a.m. Eastern.
That's right.
UTC -5.
So I think having people to consistently play with in this game is super important, especially in the group firefights. You kind of need to know what people are doing. The times where we don't do well in a firefight is when we're kind of out of sync, or not coordinating well. Not that you have to have heavy coordination, but you really need to know if somebody is pushing
With
left
you.
or or with you. Yeah. If there's a good opportunity to push, then you need somebody up with you to try and trade or take care of things. So I don't think bullet drop is I don't think it's as big of a deal. I think it's cool when games include it. It's kind of like a nice little, oh, that's nice, as long as there are ways to handle it. And then PUBG and other BRs, you have the range. You can switch your range, right? What do they call it when you
zeroing?
Zeroing. Yeah. So you change your zeroing to kind of affect where you have to aim, and that's a really cool kind of like advanced tactic. But in this, like it says, like most of the games don't have scopes, and you can get them, but I don't know.
I don't think they're that helpful.
We don't use them. I don't think any of us go for them.
We don't really fight people again beyond that 50 to 75 meters, you know. So we're more often to run into somebody like under 50 meters than over 75 meters.
Yeah. There's never been a situation where I had or didn't have a sniper and wish I had one, or that was horribly worded, but there has been a million times when I didn't have a shotgun, but I wanted one. Sorry to cut you off.
Yeah, I think that more often than not, when we are in a match, one or three of us will say, I have no range.
All the time.
We have to go in. I have no range. Well, let's go back to that point about the length of engagements in that dev letter. Is to me, what it says is we are focusing on the fact that the banishing of the monster is more important than the fights you will get in with the people. Because if you think about the purpose of this game, say you're in real life, say wraiths exist and they're hunting monsters, you're not building up a loadout to go and kill everyone else. You're building up a loadout that's going to be effective at killing monsters.
That's true.
You happen to run into other people, and very rarely would you be able to hit a monster with a scoped weapon from outside of the building that they're in. And I think that keeps to the true nature of the game, and I think that's pretty impressive.
I also want to talk about the long range fights in the sense of like the long ammo, like what you just said there about us always saying, oh, we don't have range. Does that make it so you always should be bringing a long range weapon in? Like, is that basically saying that if you don't have long, you're in trouble?
No, I don't think so. A lot of times my secondary weapon, which a lot is a pistol of some kind, has at least a range of 75.
Yeah.
And that is the longest range I have, unless sometimes, you go in with a Winfield or something like that. From time to time I'll go in with a carabiner. But most of the time it's just a shotgun and a pistol. And I still think I have effective enough range to fight somebody from a longer distance. Granted, again, I suck. But I know that it's better for me to have 75 distance, sometimes 92. I think the uppercut has a distance of 92 or 95. And it gives you the ability to get into a longer range fight and still do some damage, even though, it's not a Nagant that gets you like 250 meters.
Yeah, sorry. Back to your point. I think if I understood your point the right way, you're basically saying that the design of the weapons sort of helps the designers of the game say you should be doing the objective rather than fighting along the way. And I totally agree with that.
Play the objective. It's smarter.
Yeah, and it's more fun. And it's not meant to be a PvP game. PvP only, I should say. Yeah, I think the most fun we have is when we are going into a boss's lairs, killing them, and defending the onslaught of hunters trying to take the tokens.
I like the fights.
The fights are great.
Yeah. So what weapon variations do they have? So like we know that they have regular pistols, shotguns. So they also have other variations and that you unlock along the way. Which ones do you guys like, and what are some we want to talk about?
Jan?
I think so I don't think many of the variations I don't tend to use a lot of the variations. The precision ones would be like a pistol with a stock on it and a scope. The rifles, you can get a scope version. You can get like bayonets or like a hatchet on shotguns, or bayonets on the rifles for the melee attachments. And the compacts are a medium slot version of the larger weapons. And they're usually, just marginally less effective. I tend to use like a main sniper and then a pistol, just like a standard pistol, usually single action. Mm-hmm. And basically my plan going into a fight is hit somebody with the sniper and then follow up with the pistol if they're close enough. Otherwise, reload and try and hit them with the sniper again. So a lot of the variations don't really play into that because I want to take in a large weapon anyway, which we haven't really talked about. But there are slots that the weapons occupy. There's small, medium, and large. And you basically have a pool of 4 slots to work with. So you can take in a large and a small, which is slot 3 and slot 1, or you can take in 2 mediums, slot 2 and slot 2, or you can take in 2 smalls if you want, right? And then there's a perk that lets you bring in a medium with a large. Anyway, I tend to not have that perk. I tend to just use a large weapon and a small weapon.
I like that perk only when I'm using the Auto 5, so a semi-auto shotgun, and then a mini Mosin, basically a compact bolt-action Mosin.
Do you use the one with the mace on the end of it?
I don't. Sometimes I do, but the majority of the time when I pick a weapon that has some kind of melee benefit, I forget that I have it, and I just still use my knife.
I have recently figured out that that is a useful tool for me because I have such difficulty switching. That I like, especially if my compact weapon is the officer, because it has the brass knuckles on it. It's got a fast rate of fire. It does about 91 or 92 damage, I believe, and it's just got the dusters on it already. And
Dusty
so
boy.
I don't have to switch if I need to get into an engagement right away. Mm-hmm. But I could pull out my big gun, which generally is a shotgun of sorts, if I have enough time.
Mm-hmm. So there are ones that kind of suck. Like the Level Talon is basically an axe blade on the butt.
Yeah,
of the gun,
that's awful.
And it takes so long to like ready it.
It reminds me of stage combat. You're giving somebody a cue that you're about to swing your axe.
Yeah. And then there's some others, but usually those on the longer weapons don't really work. The bayonets are really good. They're very quick.
And the range, oh my god, the reach on those things.
Yeah. The mace is the other one that on some of the shorter ones, you kind of like flip the gun around as the animation, but it does take a decent amount of time to do it.
I think the mace is one of the quicker ones comparatively of the ones that you want to happen faster.
Yeah. I would agree.
The bayonets are decently fast as well,
but the bayonets deplete your stamina after 3 hits, which is the shortest among any.
The only time I end up using these are against PvP, like PvE, so like against monsters, against immolators or the bosses or something like that. Like I'll never use them against other players. I won't get that close. They'll kill me before I get close enough.
I used the bomb lance once, I think.
I did have a crazy
when you were killing
sword
those guys near the depot or whatever it was.
Yeah,
Sean, that's when you were using the bomb lance.
You were bomb lancing them to next Tuesday.
Yeah, but it's not a variation. And if you click with the bomb lance, that's the melee. So it's basically a melee weapon with kind of like a secondary explosive fire almost.
Yeah, I feel like it's the ultimate troll gun, but I don't really know how to use it myself.
Much is. Yeah,
so I just never use it. That and the explosive crossbow. Let's talk about the variants of the crossbow, because we never really got there.
Yeah.
What's the point?
I like the variants on the hand crossbow. Like the poison crossbow seems like a pretty good one. But I really don't understand the difference between like the shot bolt or the explosive bolt on the big crossbow.
It doesn't make sense.
Well, the explosive bolt could do damage to other people.
That's true.
The shot bolt does nothing because they're both an instant kill.
Explosive bolt could probably would blow up those barrels, whereas a normal bolt I don't think does.
Oh, that's right. Yep.
But the bolt variations. The poison one has not been super helpful in the big crossbow. The hand crossbow for sure. It's actually more versatile, I think. Mm-hmm. It reloads faster. You have more ammunition. Mm-hmm. But any of the big crossbows are pretty useless if you don't know exactly what you're doing, and they don't have distance.
No, the effective range is 45 on the hand crossbow and 47. Yeah, because those 2 meters matter. Inches is everything.
Well, they said that the majority of fights take place between 50 and 75, so that makes me think that was on purpose.
Yeah, it had to be.
They're too powerful otherwise.
That's what I was going to say. The only good thing about them is the one hit. So you could play super quiet, super stealthy, super slow-mo, and have that one hit potential.
And these are the only weapons that have drop-off, like bullet drop-off.
Yep.
So you can see bullet that. Drop. And you can see that, and it is hard. After you hit that 45 or 47, you see that thing arc to the ground.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That's not doing much, if any, damage at all. Oh, wow. The crossbow explosive is actually 33 effective range.
Yeah, so, what's the point?
I know.
Get a shotgun and get 20 meters closer.
Yeah. Really. And not have the 6-second reload time.
Yeah.
That's a lifetime.
Yeah, the benefit for the crossbow is you can collect the ammo because they all use special. And so you can't collect that from ammo boxes.
Yeah, it has to be the purple.
Yeah, you have to get them from the individual ammo boxes. What are they called? What is ammo boxes and ammo boxes?
Ammo boxes and crates.
Crates.
Ammo cache, ammo stash, ammo box. I don't know.
So the ammo boxes, you have to get it from the ammo boxes. You can't get it from the ammo crates, which means that your full potential of ammo is drastically reduced because it's one of the rare types. You can find it, but you're not going to load up a bunch of times, using the ammo crate.
Not to be confused with the ammo box that you can drop. That's a consumable.
Right. Which we'll just call the mini box.
Yeah.
The thing I really like about the hand crossbow is you run around, you can one hit like hive or normal grunts and kind of pick it up. You can run and gun early on without having to worry about people hearing you. That's the nice thing about it.
Yeah.
The one hit potential is really good for the larger crossbows, but it doesn't seem as versatile or as usable, I guess.
It's clumsy. It feels clumsy. It's just it takes a long time to reload, and for that one reason is why I don't choose a crossbow. I need a second chance because I probably missed the first time. It just has such limited use cases. I think that's what it is for me. Because you're always being attacked by more than one person. Almost always.
Yeah. Well, that's because we die, Dan, and then it's 1v3.
Well, yeah, okay. In that case, I need my auto 5.
Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to ask your favorite weapon, speaking of the auto 5, because I'm kind of leading into it.
Yeah, I think the auto 5 is my favorite, just because it is a real life weapon, and I have one. Very cool. So I like to use it. But the other weapons that I use, so I like having the long ammo in my pocket. I like having either a Lebel or a Mosin or I guess that's really it. The variations of those. I like the short one if I use the trait that gives you the large slot and the medium slot. What's the trait name? Not Frontier's name. Quartermaster. That's the one. Other than that, I like the Bornheim, the semi-auto pistol, and I like the Nagant officer pistol because I can't deal with single action revolvers.
It's like this whole game.
Yeah. I also really like the breech loading shotguns. The hand cannon is good because it's really powerful. Gives you that last resort shot when you're up close. The shortened version of the Caldwell Rival is okay, but it doesn't do enough damage per shot. It's something like 80 per shot, so you have to hit both. And I've gotten in situations where I feel like I'm going to hit him in one hit and take him down, but it doesn't happen because it just doesn't do enough damage. But I do like the regular Rival, the big one. That does quite a bit of damage, and you get those 2 shots. Cody, what's your go-to?
My go-to is the Auto 5, and I really do like the Officer with the dusters on it. It's a quick rate of fire. It's a nice little gun, but also like the Bornheim is pretty cool. I dual wielded with the Bornheim the other day. That was neat. That was super strange, but that was cool. But it's definitely going to be the Officer and the Auto 5. But if I were to pick a third that's like an actual rifle, it's the carbine. I really enjoy that. I like the bolt action rifles better than most. They don't do as much damage, but they hover around like 130. But I just like the feel of them.
The other one I wanted to mention was the Springfield. Even though it's a breech loading single shot, I do like the Springfield because it's so cheap and it does a lot of damage.
Yeah.
But I've never been a big Sparks guy, which is kind of the same thing, but heavier duty. Never really
takes longer to load.
Sparks will wreck your face.
Oh my god.
Sure.
Down to the sliver. It's just panic inducing when you know someone has it and you lose a bar or you're bleeding or whatever. It's an instant kill a lot of the time.
Yeah.
It's that or you're down to like 10 HP and you're like, oh my god, I'm trapped.
Yeah. That's the other thing. There's a lot of psychological warfare in this game. Just knowing that shots are coming near you, knowing how vulnerable you are to any weapon makes you panic. So it really changes the tide of a fight, just knowing that someone's got a big gun out there.
Yeah.
What guns did you like, John? Did you say?
I didn't. I like a Mosin, and then just pretty much any pistol. I guess Bornheim would be a top one, or Lamat, which is the compact / shotgun combo pistol. That one's really good for kind of like a diverse number of situations. The Mosin has a stripper clip, so if you use all 5 shots in it, then you can load the next 5 very quickly, and that I think gives it real strength. And it does a decent amount of damage. I have been using the Springfield as like a low economy sniper, and I really like that one too. I think it holds up well. Even if you can buy bigger and better weapons, it still is a decent choice.
Yeah.
That's kind of how I feel about a lot of weapons in this game. Is they're like just like you can make it work as something most of the time, and that's kind of what I meant with my loadout. Is if I can make a pistol with a long range hit my shots, that's better than carrying around or spending more money to get the big boy.
Yeah, you don't need a Sparks if you can hit a headshot with a pistol.
Yeah, not that I can. I just mean my chances are higher if my aim's not going to change. It doesn't matter that I spend $600 on a sniper.
True.
I could just take my chances with the $100 weapon.
Yeah, and I've hit some like nuts headshots with the Winfield, which is like, I don't know, $5 or whatever it is. It costs so little, and you just get that headshot and take out somebody on the team. It's great.
I was shocked to find out the Springfield is medium ammo.
Medium ammo is the least utilized ammo in the game. There are a handful of medium weapons, and that's it.
Yeah, I think there's one pistol and the Springfield and maybe the Martini as well.
And
it's not
medium, it still does 132 damage versus the Sparks, which does 149. So you literally have 1 HP if you get hit in the chest within range. But the differences between the medium and long, I think, are just muzzle velocity, 533 for the Sparks versus 490, which is really not that different. And damage, and penetration.
It's looking like long weapons, like long range weapons, are like the carabiner and the Springfield, and that's it for medium.
Mm-hmm.
And then, you know, as you go down to actual medium slot weapons, again, it's just the shorter Springfield, which we already knew was there from the long one, and then the Caldwell, and that's the list.
Caldwell packs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is an interesting weapon.
I was just going to say that, yeah.
I don't use it often, but it packs a punch because it's got 110 damage and it's an D6, but it's a single action.
Mm-hmm.
So, and it's got a pretty slow reload time or recocking time. The rate of fire is only 46.
Yeah.
Whereas in comparison, the Caldwell, which is the heaviest small slotted pistol,
The conversion uppercut.
Yeah, is 40 rounds per minute.
Yeah.
Right. So like it's pretty slow considering, you know, the Dolch is 164 and even the Lamat is 42.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like the Lamat feels slower.
And here's my choice, or here's my reasoning when I pick my choice for weapons. Like the packs, medium ammo, you think, oh, it's more powerful. It does do 110 per hit, but it's slower reload and slower cocking time. Versus I just picked the Bornheim, does much less damage, but I can get faster shots off and know I have more, faster reload if I use all of my shots. But I don't need the other benefits of the medium ammo, which is that penetration or even the muzzle velocity. I just don't need it. I'd rather have a smaller round that I can shoot faster.
Yeah. And you've hit some nutty headshots with the Bornheim.
I have.
Like
Nute
of its effective range, basically.
Yeah. So I think that kind of goes to show like there's a lot of variety, but some of it is, I don't know, not really needed, I guess. I don't know. There's just almost too many options. And I don't know if there's a huge difference between a lot of the pistols.
Probably not. I mean, that belt gun probably gives you the most advantage, but you have to have fanning for it to be effective.
And it's super inaccurate.
Really inaccurate.
Yeah.
What about melee weapons?
So that's interesting because melee is quite effective, and you definitely want to bring a melee weapon. Especially for the grunt zombies and the hives and the dogs.
I don't find it's worth taking a ranged weapon out for a melee weapon.
What do you mean by that?
Like if you're bringing in a machete instead of a pistol, I feel like your utility is going down heavily.
I agree.
Oh, definitely.
I would never swap out a real weapon for just a melee weapon.
I think
it doesn't make enough sense.
I think I was going to bring up the point you were going to make, Dan, if you want to talk about
No, you go.
Melee weapon.
Go for it.
The saber.
Saber.
You mentioned troll weapons earlier. And that's probably up there of the troll weapons. It's very fast. It does a ton of damage.
It's a one-hit kill.
You can run around with it cocked up, so you can just like stab people at the ready.
168 hit per hit for heavy melee damage. The machete doesn't even do that. So it's like, what's the point of not having something that can't do? Sorry, what's the point of having something that takes up a slot, takes away from either a pistol or a sniper or shotgun, and isn't a one-hit kill at 135 per heavy hit with the machete? I think the axe is similar. Also doesn't do full damage. But yeah, that cavalry saber is, especially with a stamina shot applied, you can just swing that thing all day long for 10 minutes straight.
I think it was better before the recent patch, which added dual wielding. Because if you come up against somebody dual wielding, I'm pretty sure you'll die. Mm-hmm. But previously, like, you'd make people panic if you start charging them with the saber, and they'll, like, if they miss the first shot, they're probably going to miss the next one, and you can, like, serpentine a bit and just get some hilarious approach kills.
Yeah, which we have.
Yeah, you have, definitely.
Yeah, I would never swap in any other melee weapon. Only the saber. Even the bomb lance I haven't figured out, so I don't use it. But I still would rather have a shotgun and something longer range. I like going for short range, long range. I usually don't pick anything medium range because I like to get up close, and I like the single hit kill potential of a shotgun.
I like the bomb lance for the action hero effect, which is if you hit somebody with the bolt, then you know they're dead. There's pretty much nothing they can do.
They have 4 seconds to think about the end of their life.
Yeah, exactly. Like the only thing they could do is charge you, but that just kills you. So anyway, you just turn around and like walk away slowly from it, and then they explode behind you, and that's the action hero effect.
That's satisfying.
Yeah.
Yeah, I also wanted to point out that they do a pretty good job at balancing some of the really popular weapons, or really powerful weapons, like the Dolch, which is 160. No, what was that? Damage, 110 damage per hit with a Dolch, and you're thinking that's a lot, especially with a pistol that has a magazine and is semi-auto against all of these single action revolvers. But they balance it by it being $750 and being special ammo only. I think special
really
ammo was a good add to the game.
Yeah.
So those special ammo weapons are the Dolch, the Bomb Lance, the crossbow bolts being able to be picked up and restocked, and the Nitro. We got to talk about the Nitro. How have we not talked about the Nitro yet?
Fuck the Nitro.
I want to see if you can move that aperture, because if you can, I'm willing to try it again, because it's super strong. I think I've gotten 1 kill with it, and it was just like a random body shot.
So the aperture is a tiny little peephole sight that super restricts your vision. It's so hard to see
you in. It's like 2x or something like that.
Yep. I don't think you can put it down. I'm trying to read through the wiki really quick to see. It just says it's mounted with a bulky peep sight, greatly restricting players' vision when they use the weapon's irons.
Yeah, it's probably the balance for it.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, it's not good.
I was killed by one the other night, and I got really mad because I was like, "Who uses the Nitro? It's $1,000. It's just so expensive."
Yeah, the same guy. Like I jumped around a corner, and he just shot me in the chest and killed me with it. So like, it's funny that there's a gun in this game that you basically can't do anything against. I guess like you just kind of spray it.
It's funny that I get mad about being one-tapped with a Nitro, but I wouldn't get mad about being one-tapped with a shotgun. I don't know why.
Yeah.
It's just stupid.
Yeah.
The Nitro also has unique damage ratios. So it does a 2.0 multiplier to the head, which also why, because it's a one-hit kill anyway. Upper torso is 0.52. Regular lower torso is 0.52. Arms and legs, 0.25. and 0.2 for arms and legs. So it will potentially not kill you in a one hit if they hit your arm or leg.
Wow.
So it's a quarter of 364, so it's just under, it's like 75 or something like that, right?
Yep. Again, math, not our strong suit. But if damage is 364 times... Oops. Hold on. There we go.
Calculator's also not our strong suit.
Yep. Times 0.2 is 72. That's shockingly little. But yeah, no, you're going to have 2 hits to finish off someone.
Yeah. Other kind of weird gun in this game, the automat.
Ah, yes.
So this is a Mosin Nagant variant, which is normally the sniper rifle. And there is a drum version of the small one, which puts all the ammunition into one magazine. And the automat is, it fires automatically. Like it has a 3-round burst.
And very little reserve ammo. So you're going to be flying through it. I thought it was special, but it's actually long ammo because it's the same as.
So it's easier to replenish then.
Yeah.
Than I would have thought.
Same as the other Mosins.
Yeah, and it got right before, not this last patch, but the previous one, I think, or 2-3 patches ago or something. A lot of people in the end game had this weapon because it was so strong, and it used to be a 2-round burst, so you could basically kill like 7 people with it because it's a 136 damage at 250 effective range. It's like blah blah, and you're dead.
Yeah.
So this was really strong, and I think the 3-round burst really helped with the balance. I don't see or hear as many people using this anymore. It still is super intimidating if somebody has this, because it can just like insta kill you. But yeah, not as dangerous. I think the balance worked out.
Another thing they use to balance it is that the shots when you fire in your iron sights are not 100% accurate. So you cannot do long range headshots with the Mosin Avtomat. Specifically made it more inaccurate, which I don't know how I feel, because that seems very RNG. But I think you have to do something to balance it. But if a gun is so powerful that you have to nerf its sights to make it inaccurate, that says maybe it's a little too powerful.
Well, I think that's to keep people, like, I think that's a good thing, because you might bet on a long range headshot with a 3-round burst. You're like, okay, I'll throw away 3 bullets to get this headshot. But if you're not going to hit, like, the handling is 35%. So if you're not going to hit that headshot at range, then it's probably not worth you shooting. Yeah. So I think it kind of brings it in without lowering the effective range for basically no reason, like for no in-game reason. It's using the same ammo, same barrels, that type of thing. I think that's a good way to balance it. I would be so mad if somebody killed me at range with this thing.
Oh yeah,
like just a one headshot thing.
Definitely.
But in general, I think what's really good about this game is that the weapons do feel pretty balanced, and I don't get mad at what people are using. I'm not like, oh, that's cheap. Why are they using that? That sucks. You know, it's, except for very rare cases, everything feels pretty, you know, above board, well balanced, and makes sense in the position.
We have to talk about the traits. We have to talk about the traits, but I was just thinking about COD, how you have people that run around with melee only. They can run super fast and they just knife you.
Thomas.
And it's just annoying and stupid and pisses you off. Like, if you meet someone in the game like that, they're really just annoying to play against. And I don't see that happening in this game because of the traits not being so overpowered, or certain meta trait loadouts that can totally change the game. They did a really good job keeping those level, I would say.
Yeah.
I think that's another episode. Maybe next episode we talk about traits.
Let's talk about traits next episode.
It's a good idea, Cody.
Thanks, I just had it.
Before we go, what do you guys think about loadouts during different phases of the game? So early game, before you've unlocked everything, mid game while you mostly have things unlocked, and then prestige or end game when anything is available to you and you probably have a pretty big bankroll. What changes as you progress?
The frustration gets less and less. We just prestiged the other day, and I hated those matches because it was so hard to be effective with anything at all.
We're having real bad luck.
Yeah.
Real bad luck.
Yeah,
we just got used to living in that ivory tower.
Yeah, I know.
I think early game, I don't try and load everything out. I usually will just use whatever weapons come on the person that you buy. For one, it helps you unlock more things, like the different variants. You have to use the guns of those types to unlock the variant. So that I just like the completionist aspect of that. And 2, I don't want to be spending my money trying to get the perfect loadout and then go in and just die to somebody who headshots me. So before I have that bankroll, I'll just use whatever comes out, and I will usually prefer to go with somebody that has the sniper as their primary, or something that, you know, I can try and get those one headshot kills with. Just because I think that's fun. And then if I start getting frustrated with that, then I'll look for some shotguns and be like, okay, I'm just charging it. You know,
Yeah. There's been so many times where I've walked into a situation and either said, like we just said earlier, I don't have range. Like, I wish I brought something long range, or all I have is a shotgun and a pistol, or all I have is long and I don't have anything up close, and I've got 2 people attacking me and I really wish I had this weapon. So many situations like that, and especially early game when you don't have everything unlocked. But once I unlocked the shotguns, that was a game changer. Like when I first started this game, I didn't even know shotguns existed other than the breech loading ones. Then I found out you can get the pump shotgun, and I was like, oh, game over. All right. And then I found out there's a semi-auto shotgun. I'm like, that's my gun, 100%. The range is absolutely pitiful, but up close, I can take out so many guys at once. Up to 5, actually.
You spray that thing.
Yeah.
I think the other loadout thing is bringing all those tactical bits, like the concertina, trip mines, and the fire bombs and sticky bombs. All that stuff you don't really have unlocked, and it's probably not worth you using your money to bring in some of the things. So I usually will just equip whatever the person has plus like some health.
I always fill it up, and I always regret it because I end up dying and wasting so much money, never having thrown those consumables.
I've gotten much better at remembering my consumables.
I'm just really bad at it sometimes. But Cody, what do you like early game? I mean, I know you like your Bornheim, but that's a little bit later.
It is, yeah. I mean, I don't actually like anything early game because I'm not good at anything early game.
Well, there's got to be at least something. I know you like the crossbows for a little while. The hand crossbows are available early.
They're not bad, and they're easy to level up because obviously you can gain XP by killing grunts with them. But you know, I'm good for a kill every now and again with a crossbow, and then it gets you to the poison crossbow faster, which is the most effective one in my opinion. Mm-hmm. The shot bolt is fun, but it is useless.
I really think you're right.
It's just fun to watch it go pop, and then somebody goes, "Ah!"
All right, so stepping up to mid game, you're starting to unlock your goodies. What do you go to, Cody?
Yeah, that's when I start to go to the bolt actions because I haven't earned the auto 5 yet. So I'll stick with the bolt action, and then I will upgrade, and I'll start to get the officer at that point. But that's one that I just kind of stick through until I can get the Bornheims. Mm-hmm. So I really like carrying around like a carbine or mostly just the carbine. I like that one.
Officer is a great pistol. It's my favorite.
It is really, really great. And when you have the dusters on it, it's kind of just a jack of all trades.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's pretty middle of the road, decent damage, decent range, decent handling, dual action. So yeah, it's all very nice.
It's fun, it's effective, and like I said, when you have 91 damage and your effective range is 73, like you can get in whatever you need to get in.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Did I say dual action? Double action.
Yeah, similar.
The double action.
Yeah.
What do you think, John? Mid game.
Mid game, I think I still like the early guns. Like I said, Springfield is pretty good, even later on. So I'll use that. Mosin Cost, that's like my favorite game or my favorite gun. And it costs $490, so it's really hard to afford mid game still. I would say, especially if you're not winning consistently. So using the Springfield is good. The mid range shotguns are really awesome. The Spectre 1882, which is the pump shotty, is super effective for kind of invading those houses where people are banishing or whatever. Lamat is a good mid range pistol. You can unlock that pretty easily, and probably the officer. So I would probably use Romero and Springfield up until Spectre 1888. And then, yeah, just whatever the new weapon is, I would just unlock the variants for it probably.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. One thing we didn't talk about, which I just remembered, was silencers. We haven't really talked about how effective those are, and there's just not that many in the game. But the pistol that I use early is that silence pistol. I use that instead of the regular Nagant version.
And that is a fun weapon, but it's not helpful when you're fighting other people.
No, not at all.
It's really only helpful when you don't want to carry around a melee weapon and you just want to shoot anything that comes your way.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the sound suppression is really good. The sounds echo so far, and when you have the suppressor, you can't hear it at all if you're outside like 30 meters or something like that. So the Sparks has a suppressed version too, also super effective. The Winfield has a suppressed version, very effective. But I don't find them to be particularly necessary. Mm-hmm. There's very few times where we're getting hit by a suppressed person and we can't find them.
Right.
So it just kind of helps for like an extra shot or two, maybe.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because we don't really play solo. So if there's one person on our team that has a silencer and the rest don't, it kind of negates the purpose of having one. Unless we all use them. But it's interesting because this is a game where the sound is so good that silencers aren't more popular or more used.
Other thing, the Winfield, there's a variant that you unlock that I think the first one you get is a Winfield C. Or no, that's the one you unlock. Anyway, there's one that has like 18 shots like loaded up.
Oh yeah.
Ready to go.
Yeah.
And it's really easy to kind of like unload that on a boss, or if you get levering, you can use it up close on people. It still has, even if you don't have levering, it's still a pretty fast like you lever. It's a lever action rifle, so it's really easy to lever it and get the new round in the chamber. So you can have pretty quick fire rate with that one. That one's pretty good early.
Yeah, I never really used the lever actions too much. We used them in the beginning because there's a silence version of that, and then we realized they just don't do enough damage. It's cheap. Yeah. That's the only thing it's got going for it. But they did
penetration
buff
is
that.
bad.
Penetration is bad because it's compact.
Yeah.
They did increase the damage a little bit in a recent patch, which is nice, and they added levering. I still don't really go for it though. I'd rather have something with a little more meat behind it. A little more meat.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. I would say, okay, once we hit that prestige moment where money is no object, and it always seems like I hover around the same amount every single time we play, my best go-to loadout, favorite loadout, has got to be Quartermaster, Auto 5, Mini Mosin. Throw in the one with a mace, sure, so I can smack some immolators. But yeah, I mean, that's my ideal loadout. But what about you guys? Money's no object. What are you buying?
I probably do. I like the long range Mosin, and then I'll go Bornheim or Dolch. Yeah, I think either of those are pretty great as a secondary.
I would go Dolch Auto 5.
Beautiful.
That's a strong one.
Love it. Now that they have the dualies, dual wielding, would you do Auto 5 2 Dolches? If you
can you do that? Oh my god, that'd be crazy.
I think you can.
I would love that.
I don't know if there's much of a negative to the dual wielding.
Well,
it's like a 3K loadout right there.
Oh yeah, no, that dual wielding anything though, you'll never get the accuracy that you're looking for if you have one with a longer range. That's the only downside.
Yeah.
But it's so OP at the moment. They're going to nerf it. I guarantee it.
They have to. Especially because they allowed you to dual wield the uppercuts, the Dolches, the Bornheims. Like, what are they thinking? Like, it's so powerful.
Seems pretty strong.
Yeah. Sweet. I think that pretty much covers it. Is there anything we missed, guys?
We
didn't really talk much about traits, and we didn't talk about equipment, so maybe those are two things we can discuss next week.
For sure.
Because a lot of our loadouts, the approaches to each round and the weapons we choose are also influenced by the traits we have and the equipment that we bring in, I think. More so the traits. Like, if I've got Quartermaster, that changes the loadout. If I've got Bullet Grubber, that changes the loadout. I'm not going to pick a Springfield, for example. I'm going to splurge and get the Mosin if I have Bullet Grubber. Right. So things like that we can talk about. So yeah.
Little hint.
Hey. How do we end this?
Love you. Say it back. No, wait. Love you.
Wear a mask.
That's right.